In more news, on Wednesday, the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu presented the 2024 budget proposal to the State House of Assembly. It's tagged the budget of renewal. The budget has an estimated size of 2.2 trillion naira. News Central's Perpetua Fasomi Peter tells us more.
2024 budget proposal.
The Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu presented the 2024 budget to the State House of Assembly, while stating that the budget builds on previous budgets from 4 years prior. He stated that the budget has an estimated size of 2.2 trillion naira. Of this amount, the revenue projection is 1.847 trillion naira, while there is an estimated deficit of 398 billion naira.
Mr. Speaker, I'm indeed privileged to present to you today the 2024 budget proposal tagged Budget of Renewal. The year 2024 budget is proposed to have a total budget size of 2,246.2 billion naira, and it's 2.2 trillion, comprising a total revenue of 1.847 trillion and a deficit financing of 398 billion.
The recurrent expenditure, 1.02 trillion naira, accounts for 45% of the overall budget estimate, while capital expenditure accounts for 55% of the projected spending. Sectoral analysis of the capital expenditure reveals that economic affairs takes the largest chunk, and this is in line with the state government's drive to cushion the effect of subsidy removal on its citizens.
We are working closely with the federal government to ramp up relief measures to help the people of Lagos to alleviate the pains of subsidy removal and the impact of high inflation. We are especially concerned about transportation and food costs, and in the year 2024, we'll be making key investment that is targeted at food security initiatives of the federal government. And for transportation, we're fully on board with the federal government initiative at CNG-powered buses, which will deliver a sizable number of these buses to each state for public transportation.
Governor Sanwo-Olu's budget presentation has sparked a lively debate about Lagos' priorities and path to move the state's economy forward. The coming weeks will see intense scrutiny and discussion as the House of Assembly dissects the details. Ultimately, the success of the budget of renewal will depend on its ability to address the concerns of Lagosians while setting the stage for a vibrant and inclusive future for the state of excellence. Perpetua Fasomi Peter reporting for News Central.
Lester Wilcox is a chartered accountant and public policy analyst. He joins me now to discuss this latest development. Lester, it's great to have you on the news tonight. How do you think this proposed budget, of 2.2 trillion naira, as the governor said, for the 2024 fiscal year, aligns with the goals and priorities of the Babajide Sanwo-Olu administration has laid out in the budget of renewal?
Well, thank you for having me. It's quite, it's gratifying that I should have the opportunity to talk on this budget. I am not satisfied with what I hear today. For me, it's the same rhetoric. I would have expected a more compacted budget that is realistic. I don't know why in these days and time, everybody is running to announce a very wide budget and then just to give the public some things to talk about. And people will just start having wrong impression about governance, thinking that 2.2 trillion is just what the government will just swallow. First, go back to 2023 budget. I understand the fact that Lagos is very aggressive in terms of the developmental drive. I don't have an issue with that. That is a forward-looking state that is quite aggressive and, of course, delivering a lot of dividends of democracy to Lagosians and to their people. But this yearly astronomical increase in budget sizes, for me, it doesn't make much of a sense because look at the 2023 budget. They've only done about 78%, according to the report, 78% of what has been done. And that's less than 1 trillion, about slightly above 1 trillion. And now you are jumping to 2.2 trillion. Where are you going to get the funding? Why must we always have deficit financing, deficit budget? If you're expecting a revenue of about 1.5 or 1.6 trillion, why not budget around that size. And let's stop this penchant for debt. The debt is really, really hitting hard. Unfortunately, Nigerians don't look at state debt. They only concern themselves with the federal government debt. As somebody who is as a Lagosian, I think I'm worried that we keep increasing the debt stock of governance and paying us so much in terms of debt repayments with interest every year, and yet we still be increasing the size of the debt. So, what is it that cannot be done within a budget size of about 1.6, 1.7 trillion that we are going to 2.2 trillion? I don't understand.
Hmm. Well, something we need to look at some more. But in what ways do you think this budget will address economic challenges we have facing the country, and also economic opportunities specific to Lagos State, considering the current state of the Nigerian economy?
I quite appreciate the fact that Lagos is a cosmopolitan city that caters for everybody. New countries of this country converge in Lagos. So the resource demand is very, very high. So no doubt about that. Demand for services is very high. Demand for resources is very high. So there's no gainsaying that Lagos is blazing the trail in terms of developmental stride. And now, you see, I understand part of what the budget is saying, trying to ameliorate the effect of all some of the policies that we are witnessing today. So I expect that the government is already projecting wage increase for its workers, and of course, when there's a wage increase for workers, it will translate to more economic, because there will be more spending power for the non-informal, for the formal and informal sector. So the government is trying to put in more money. That's understandable. But again, one will have seen that Lagos also, from the last report that we had, that we saw, people are not too happy with Lagos in terms of their expenditure pattern. When the governor is spending about 9 million or thereabouts on fragrance, some of these that I've seen, which has always been explained, but of course, those explanations cannot really hold water. So, all right. But if that's what I'm saying, there's something that we cannot do within a budget size of about 1.7 trillion, and then to remain within that space, so that we begin to have a consensus effort in running in drawing down on debt, in financing our. Okay. Yes, there is need to spend, but there's also need to be circumspect in committing the states or committing future generations to more debt.
All right. Alistair, finally, we're all privy to what Funsho Doherty, former governorship candidate in the state with ADC, put out, highlighting some of the questionable areas, according to him, in the previous budget, the budget that's currently running. Transparency, accountability are key issues when it comes to budgets in states across Nigeria, and even the federal budget. How do you think Sanwo-Olu's administration can ensure, effective transparency and accountability and implementation of the budget to achieve the intended results?
I salute the Lagos State government for most of their giant strides in delivering services to Lagosians and to. Lagos is like the second Nigeria, economic size bigger than that of most West African countries put together. So you can understand the fact, but recent development has not shown that level of transparency that Nigerians want to see in Lagos. Like I just mentioned of some of the information that came to fore on some of the expenditure patterns. We know that government services is priced maybe 3 or 4 times above that of corporate world. Government services, but enough of, it's time we start reining in some of these excesses. So Mr. Doherty is very, very right in pointing out those things. No, but again, let's also be sure and tell the public that budget is not actual expenditure. Yes, you might have provided all those in the budget. That's why the last budget, the 2023 budget, has solely done about 78% performance. That shows that budget is not expenditure. Budget is a plan. But in that plan, there's embedded corruption because some items are overpriced, and especially in the recurrent part of the budget, which will be expended 100%. In the recurrent part, where you have things like travels, trainings, consultancies, so many items that you cannot really vouch that their true cost is delivering value for money. So these are what is contained. So Mr. Ademola Doherty has every, he shares the same view that Nigerians share. Moreover, when we see some of the things that we see happen, there is no transparency. Corruption is still very rife, not just by the political class, even by the civil servant. The civil servant is even worse because most agencies are run by civil servants, and most of these budgets will be spent by the civil servant. Governor Sanwo-Olu will not spend all the budget. He's the governor of the state, but the bureaucrats that will operate the budget after it's been passed are the ones that we should be looking at. I mean, that is where the corruption, high level of corruption embedded within this the civil servant structure. So we need to look at these things drastically and then be able to channel our complaints and our views into the right appropriate sources.
Alistair Wilcox, thank you so very kindly for your time, for joining us on the news tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's always my pleasure.